What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you're going to enjoy a little change of pace from the Badger. Kind of get to know the nuts and bolts of the program. I'm Kyle Jury. I'm one of the winemakers here at Booker Wines and my favorite neighbor. A little bit about myself. I've been here for about 4 years, actually about to celebrate my 4-year anniversary here in a few weeks, so I'm excited about that. I think I'm actually the longest tenured production guy. Not that that means much, but I got a little bit of clout there. Yeah, it's cool. We just a good group of guys we have here. I'm excited to work with all these guys every day I come in. We have so much in common. A lot of talk about sports. We're always razzing each other. Pretty much all Cal Poly guys, with the exception of Cameron over here.
But he's a local boy.
But he's a local boy,
Yeah.
So we give it to him. Templeton High. Yeah. So he's kind of in the club. He's grandfathered in, exactly. But yeah, so I'll go over to Pete, let him introduce himself, and we'll get this thing going.
So, little known fact, Kyle and I are both from San Jose, California. Beautiful San Jose, California. Excuse me.
On the power play.
But yeah, we never knew each other before we worked at Booker together. I'm actually, 10 years older?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
30, 40 years older.
30 or 40, depending on who you're talking to. Shout out to Nini.
But yeah, so Cal Poly grad, chem, biochem, polymers and coatings. Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do in college, but fell into wine. My first harvest was at Wild Horse here in Templeton. Just fell in love with the whole process. Went up to Sonoma County, worked at Chalk Hill, brief stint at a small family-owned winery in the Dry Creek Valley, and then got to come back to the Central Coast, my favorite place, maybe in the world. It's where I love to live, and I worked at Epic Estate Wines for 7 years under the lovely and talented Jordan Fiorentini, and then came on over to Booker to learn from the legendary and maybe a little bit less lovely Badger. So yeah, that's kind of how I came here. I'm almost maybe 3 years in, 3 harvests for sure. It's been a wild ride. I've just been loving it. This team's awesome, so I'm super stoked to be here. Taylor?
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? I'm Taylor Madsen. I've been at Booker for 3 years now. Actually celebrated my 3-year anniversary on Kyle's birthday.
30th or 40th birthday, depending on who you ask.
But I was actually originally in the tasting room. I kind of fell in love with wine when I was in Australia. During college, I was studying abroad. Went over there to surf and party and hang out and just do college, and ended up falling in love with wine and grown varietals in Adelaide. And when I got back, I was like super stoked, just so stoked on wine.
Yeah, you must be a surfer.
And pretty much just started applying for jobs and part-time jobs around Paso, SLO, End of Valley, and Booker popped up on my map. A couple friends that actually one of my good buddies is over at Saxum, Keaton Burlington. He was like, dude, go work for Booker. Like, that's the spot you want to be. And I hit up Chelsea, who was kind of the general manager at the time, and pretty much begged her for a job. And she hired me. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. And then after college, I needed to do an internship. So I begged Kyle to let me do an internship. And he was like, yeah, sure, dude. And pretty much have been here ever since, and hanging with these guys, and we've been growing and having fun and learning a lot, and it's been a good time.
It's actually a good point you made too, because I went on the very same study abroad program to Adelaide when I was at Cal Poly, and that's kind of what inspired me to move in this direction as well as far as a career. So any of you out there listening who are going to Cal Poly or have kids who are going to Cal Poly, when we all get back to normal and this thing's kind of become a regular thing, I definitely promote that position or that opportunity to go to Australia and study abroad and do that whole thing, because that was a life-changing experience. And I know Pete, he went abroad as well.
Yeah, I went to Sweden, not known for its wine, but I had a glass there as well. I drank a lot of wine there.
Yeah. Sorry, Cam, didn't mean to-
All right, I'm going to keep mine much shorter because that's what I'm known
Oh, come
for,
on.
and these guys talk a little too much. A little more straight to the point. My name's Cameron. I'm a cellar master here with Taylor, with bosses Pete and Kyle. I did harvest in 2017. Went to University of Colorado, which is actually where Eric's both his boys go now. That was a great experience. But I've always been around the wine industry. I've been born and raised on the west side here in Paso Robles. Got here in 2017. It was kind of rough. It was a rough year. A lot of new. Everything was new as far as even for all the Booker guys that had been here for a while. We had to adjust to so many different ways, whether it was getting processing into tank, so on and so forth, and space. Space was always kind of an issue,
Not
but
my friend.
yeah. Then quit Booker.
You graduated.
Yeah,
You didn't
You
graduate.
retired. Early retirement, very Sanders.
did a little construction for a little bit, and then tested a few other things out, and knew I wanted to be back in the industry. So I did harvest at Saxum for a little bit, and
I've never heard of them. Who's that?
I don't know. I know Eric likes to give Justin Smith a lot of shit. So, but
Are we
did
allowed to
harvest
swear on
there.
I'm just kidding.
I
No,
know.
Do we have to drink during
Dude,
this?
if we swear, who's in charge of
Big
swearing?
shout
for the
That's
drinking-
using,
Who's in charge of swearing for the drinking game? That's what I want to know.
All for it.
Okay.
A lot of likes on that. I saw the little flip.
Did harvest Saxon 2018. Both really cool, different experiences between Booker and Saxum, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then they hired me back in January of 2019.
Yep.
2019 harvest was awesome. Everything was a lot smoother, I would say, in 19 as compared to 17.
17 was definitely the culture shock for sure.
Yeah.
We've gotten it definitely improved from there. So Cam's kind of seen the transformation over the last few years for sure. He saw the worst of it, but we've learned quite a bit over the last 3 or 4 years for sure.
But even 19, I think we've said that it was a lot harder than 18.
18
so
was
I don't know if
crazy.
it's just, it might just be a Cam thing. That,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, dude, don't you have,
17
are you
to
working
19
at Saxon
harvest.
next year?
Like they're in a heat. Yeah, I might quit again on the spot.
All right, well, that's a good segue to 2019 growing season harvest.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here to talk about, all the 19 wines. But first, let's talk a little bit about the growing season. I mean, Paso Robles, we're used to droughts, right? A lot of the years, but not 2019. We had a ton of rain, and that was interesting. Like, it was great. I mean, getting the rain, it feels so good when you're getting it and you're accumulating it. And then spring hit, but we were having trouble sort of growing in that first little critical time when you're worried about frost and like your shoots are this long, kind of like where we're at right now.
Yep.
But we were just like not growing, and actually we started to see some leaf necrosis, which means like the dying of the tissue of the leaf, and it was kind of freaking us out. And then as we're driving around, we're starting to see it in other people's vineyards, and we honestly didn't know what was going on. We were kind of worried about it. It turns out what was happening is that plants weren't respiring, and because of that, they weren't able to uptake nutrients. And so it was really just like a lack of nutrients causing that necrosis. A little bit scary at the time. Of course, eventually we grew out of it. There wasn't really much we could do except for wait. But sort of that set the stage for the entire year. It was a very challenging year in different ways for us. Like I said, we had a lot of rain, so one of the things that we do to have the highest quality fruit is to stress our vines via water stress, like sort of only giving them enough water to survive, but not too much to where they're super happy. But because we had so much rain, we had a lot of groundwater, and those vines are pretty happy. So from a farming perspective, after we got through that sort of spring trouble, it was kind of gravy. Like,
It
weather
was
great.
textbut growing season for sure. Like the water was there and in the ground already. Like we had to water very, very little. But with that said, like Pete said, we did have kind of trouble getting to that stress level that we necessarily want. But as far as like the region as a whole, like having that much water and having water for everybody was super cool to kind of get out of that. Kind of had a 3-year range where we've gotten a little bit back to more average rainfall. 2017 especially. 2018 we dropped down a little bit as far as compared to 2017 and last year, but still above average rainfall. So it was kind of good to get out of that 7-year drought that we were all experiencing.
Absolutely.
So I mean personally, as far as humanity, I would say would be I'll take that all that rain that we were given to try to work with what we're doing in the vineyard as far as trying to stress our vines as much as possible. But for sure, that's a good point by Pete.
Yeah, and so coming into the summer, we're used to in Paso Robles, over 100 degrees often. Usually we'll get waves, 5, 7, 10, sometimes 14 days in a row over 100 degrees. Like, what were we like? We had one day over 100, and that was it.
Really, it was like Labor Day was like our hottest day. I think it was 103 or 104 degrees, and that was our only like day. We didn't have any consistent sustained heat spells like we did maybe 2 years ago.
2018 was brutal.
Oh, sorry, 2018. You're right.
Yeah.
We had like 10 days, like hottest on record, like
right in September.
Right before
like
the critical time.
Right during sampling out in the vineyard.
Yeah, for sure.
Sending you out.
Sending all these young guys. I'm 40, so sending these guys out with no shirts, and it was weird. Like the tasting room girls were like making their way out into the vineyard for some reason. I didn't get it, but so they. So this last vintage growing season was a lot more mild as a whole, for sure.
Great as a farmer. As a winemaker, we're just starting to get concerned about ripeness. At least in our cooler sites, like Booker's fine here, but we do buy some fruit from My Favorite Neighbor and some cooler Willow Creek sites, and we noticed that their bricks weren't really accumulating, and they kind of struggle from time to time.
Sure.
We usually pick them very late, and so usually our answer is to let them hang. Of course, we come towards around Halloween, and we started getting some bad frosts, and that was sort of a very significant event for us. Like right at the end of harvest, just massive, like cold nights, like 20s at night, and then maybe 70s in the day, right?
Yeah, Halloween was a trippy day for sure, because we were like 26 degrees or something was when we showed up to work, and by the time we left, it was 72. And we were out going trick-or-treating last night. I was sweating in my Ninja Turtle costume. Like, it was crazy. So,
Which one were you?
I was the orange one. So,
come on.
Oh, come on,
man. What's your weapon of choice?
Shoot.
Nunchucks.
Nunchucks, that's right. Sorry.
You're not 40.
No.
I called you out. But anyway, so we just knew early on that we were going to have challenges in the harvest, and that certainly came to pass. So yeah, let's move into 2019 harvest.
For sure. I mean, this year was pretty textbook, really. Like as far as kind of everything fell in line. You'd expect us to pick our whites first. So on middle of September, I think it was the 16th. We picked our Viognier first. We kind of paired that with our Tempranillo. Those are always kind of our first ones to come off. I remember Pete and I were like itching to get going and kind of trying to give Eric the pitch on like, let's get this thing rolling. Like we liked where the VO was at. We were tasting out here every day the week prior. And Eric's like pushing us back. And then we get a text on Sunday. It's like, all right, game on Monday. So we were stoked.
Shoot, he was even wanting to do a Sunday pick, too.
He was, yeah.
First day of
every
2019 harvest, wanted to go Sunday.
He's going to get his Sunday day one of these days.
He always has to get his birthday in first, right?
Yeah. That's always the goal
Yeah,
is to get past his birthday.
September 3rd?
9/4. So if we can get past
Remember
the
that.
4th, yeah. Make sure you guys give him a happy birthday on 9/4. Hopefully we're able to hold off harvest until then, so he can get his last few dips in the pool before we get going. So.
And then, so we picked our whites early September.
Kind of moved into some offsite Syrah.
We did. We actually picked Cab like 3 days after that from Parrish. So we had actually kind of simultaneously done Booker and My Favorite Neighbor throughout the whole season, just because it was like such a mild year. Like
Kind of a
everything-
crazy thing to be picking white, Syrah, Tempranillo, Cabernet, pretty much everything we do kind of on top of each other.
Yep.
I feel like it sorted out a little bit as we got into harvest, like all those early stuff kind of came in.
Totally.
I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, logistically, it was a little bit kind of, we kind of go into the harvest with a little bit of a game plan, but I mean, it never actually
Never.
like follows through. So we are always working on the fly. But yeah, it was in the beginning, it was a little bit of a logistical nightmare, but obviously we figured it out, and I'm super stoked on these wines.
Yeah, I think if I could say like one word to describe 2019 harvest was like compact, you know, because we did have a little bit of a delay, 2 weeks or a week or so.
They're over there.
Oh, I'm talking with
Cameras
you guys.
over here. No, you're talking with,
They're
with,
over there.
with them.
All right. Well, if compact would be the word to describe last harvest, 2019, just because we were a little bit behind, and then like Kyle said, we had cab coming in early September, so it was like figuring out tank space was definitely a difficulty, and getting things out of tank and moving on to the next project, and just keeping that constant cycle going.
For sure. I mean, in addition to the season as a whole, like we, a few years ago, we've kind of transformed the vineyard over to cane pruning, which has definitely helped with our yields. So this last vintage, in combination with the good weather and rain that we had, we were able to set a good crop and kind of average around 3 tons of the acre, which is good for us. It is a challenging site, but it's also, obviously you guys know, it's the quality is at the forefront. So to be able to set that much fruit and get the yields we want at that quality was super cool.
So who's got some harvest stories? Cam, you got anything?
I got one. It's kind of when it's towards the end of harvest, our barrel.
Oh yeah, that was barrel down season for sure.
Run over to one of our storage sites for our barrels, and we needed some puncheons, 500 liters, and had to get them down. So we went in the building, kind of checked with Kyle. Was like, the lift in here? No, I don't think so. Nobody checked for some reason. We ended up having to take the ladder up, one of those step ladders, the Home Depot style. So it wasn't too sketchy.
It was kind of sketchy.
And take some puncheons down from 3 high by hand and a tow rope.
No forklift.
We got creative.
No forklift.
We got creative.
So we get 2, 3, 4. I don't forgot. We got 4 down.
4, probably.
Four of these 500 liter barrels down. And I was like, oh, I got a hunch that this lift actually might be here. So I looked around the corner of the barrels and I was like, oh my god.
That was 100% on this guy right here. Like, I was like, let's just get the hell out of here.
A big lift that probably could have fit 3 of these barrels in it.
It was like 9 o'clock at night. We just want to get our job done. And
On like a Sunday
on a
too.
Saturday night, like Ken and I, we traditionally we work Saturdays. These guys work Sundays, so we were trying to get everything prepped for those guys on Sunday. Of course, like always, shit hits the fan. So like, everyone's working late no matter what. So even if we get them prepped, like they're still working late. But so we just went for it, and sure enough, that lift was right around the corner.
Yeah.
And we wasted our time,
Hilarious.
and I pulled my back. And, but
What about your Achilles?
Achilles is done. Like Achilles is done.
Taylor, what about the press?
Oh gosh. So for those of you that don't know, I have worked with the press for the last couple of years, and it's for some reason always given me problems at some point. And this year we had a couple minor difficulties.
Snafus, if you will.
Set us back, I don't know, a day or so. But one morning I had to get up at like 2:33 in the morning, drive up to Petaluma to grab some parts for it because they couldn't get shipped down fast enough. Came back all the way to Paso, started installing it with the parts with Cam. I think we started at like 3 or something, and we installed it for a good 8 hours after. I don't think we got out of work until midnight, 12:30, and then had to pick and process the next morning too. So we were here at 6 a.m., just life rolls on. You know,
That's
harvest doesn't
man.
stop.
That's harvest.
So,
These grapes don't care.
yeah. So if
What?
you're looking for a harvest job, you know.
Luckily, we have some good neighbors too that helped us out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
for sure.
was
We have a lot of good neighbors.
huge.
Thank you so much, Anderson Road people.
Yeah.
Big
You
shout
know
out.
who you are.
Yeah.
Big shout
But
out.
other than that, like this harvest was just funny, man. Like working. We had Brian Fox, my roommate.
I wish he was
and-
here right
supposed to
now.
be here, but-
He would be a good addition to this podcast.
Yeah.
Or this film, but
Uh,
Chris.
and then Benoit, our
Benoit.
French intern.
Why don't we? What's System Wines? Why don't we let's
Yeah.
talk about a story. All you guys are here to hear about the 19s,
Yeah.
so let's taste some wines, and then we can talk about our fun stories after. So
Eric wanted to let you know that his lips are very dry and he wanted to know if we're tasting any wine.
Yeah. We'll get
well,
to that.
perfect. I heard you, Eric. So yeah, let's get some Ripper going, boys. So here we're first going to start out with our 2019 Ripper, 100% Grenache. It's a really exciting wine for us.
Will you grab me a water?
So this wine we fermented
what?
in both
Can you grab me a
concrete
water?
and stainless steel. Aged in 100% puncheons, which are large 500-liter barrels. New oak percentage is right around 25 to 30%.
Yep.
We find like Grenache, it's a very challenging variety. It is naturally aromatic, also naturally tannic. So it's very easy to make an aromatic, sort of drying, thin wine, and that is not exactly what we're trying to go for with this. The aromatics just come with Grenache, which is great, but we want to make something textural, something that's pleasing on the mid palate, that hits you, all the way from the front to the back of the palate. And but also you have to be careful with Grenache that not only does it have a lot of tannins that you need to watch out for when you're fermenting, but also those tannins are highly oxidizable. So these wines do have a sensitivity to oxygen, and we have several techniques to sort of build up their resistance to oxygen and also make them more hardy and robust over time. But we find that the 500-liter, the larger barrels, work so good with this variety because they protect the wine a little bit more from oxygen as they age in barrel. Also, the new oak that you do give it is a little bit less impactful because as you grow a container, the volume grows by the cube and the surface area by the square. That's for you, Brian Fox. But yeah, so we love puncheons on Grenache, and so we've really moved that direction. And so let's taste.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, cheers.
Happy Cinco.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Something.
Eric. Cheers, Eric.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speak for everybody, but I mean, for me, this personally was my favorite wine that we tasted out of tank after blending. I remember being like super excited about this wine. One of the best rippers that I feel like I've tasted in my tenure here at Booker. I just really like this wine. Traditionally, I like Oubliette the best out of tank when we blend, but this ripper is something special for sure.
What do you guys get?
I'm gonna second Kyle. This ripper is definitely one of my favorite rippers I think we've ever made at Booker. I don't know whether it's like that I think during harvest we had switched up and used some different yeasts than normal.
We did a little bit of yeast experimentation this year.
Yeah, which kind of brings out a little bit more brighter fruits, almost like a citrusy grapefruit texture or grapefruit flavor, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, Grenache can often have like an orange peel,
Yeah.
grapefruit peel kind of thing.
Yeah, whereas like 18, I think it was like way more texture driven, and this is a little bit more aromatic, still maintaining that texture.
Yeah,
for
don't
sure.
short the texture on
Yeah.
this baby. This thing's intense, man. Like I love the mouthfeel on this one for sure.
So as the Booker scientist in chief, I can tell you that this wine is just bone dry from a glue-free kind of point of view. No sugar at all, but it tastes so sweet. And it's also like really spicy, really complex, really interesting. Just a seamless palate. It's just awesome. Loving it.
Yeah. I know we've talked about concrete with Ripper as well, kind of synonymously, but so we do some fermentation in the concrete for this wine, but we've also kind of moved the concrete as far as aging towards this next wine we're about to taste. But we do some Grenache fermentation in the concrete, which is really cool. So we're able to use those concrete tanks pretty universally as far as going to different SKUs. But as far as aging goes, we've kind of transformed into aging them long term in the puncheon barrels, like Pete had mentioned.
Cool. We want to oublier?
Yeah, let's do it. Don't forget about the oublier.
Here, look, I gotta see something.
You can use this as a dumper.
I wasn't supposed to be drinking today. You guys would make me drink.
I don't normally drink on Mondays or
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Tasteless Tuesday, is that what it is or something?
Just kidding.
Bad
I drink
taste.
every day.
So oublier, if you do not know, this is our sort of Grenache forward GSM that we make. Used to have some other varieties like Counoise in it, but now it's sort of definitely a Grenache dominant GSM. Like Kyle was saying, we've about 30% of this wine was aged in concrete. Probably a greater percentage of that was fermented in concrete. When we do ferment in concrete, and then we, if we're going to age in concrete, we usually choose things that we have fermented in concrete first. So
For sure.
30% of this wine was fermented and aged in concrete. That really preserves aromatics, I feel like. And I feel like oublier really is our most aromatic focused wine. The Grenache certainly helps with that, but also, the Syrah and the Mourvedre add different layers of complexity to this wine. And I don't know, give it a taste.
I'm a really big fan of the aromatic wines. Eric kind of shuts me down when I say that for the most part.
He's not here, so.
But I love it.
He's not here, but I know he loves his wine.
But I feel like it really kind of drives everything, especially on this wine, this oublier. It's delicious.
To me, I find oublier to be the most kind of crowd friendly wine. It kind of pleases all palates, whether you like you said, an aromatically driven wine or a textural kind of bigger wine. Like, it's not as big as say Fracture, but I mean, your Uncle Joe who has there's 9-inch hairs on his chest and only wants to drink the biggest wine that he can find. Like he's gonna like oublier as well as your grandma is gonna like oublier. So I think it's the biggest crowd pleaser that we have in our lineup.
Approachable.
It's definitely approachable for sure.
Super gateway wine, especially working into Fracture, which we have next, Vertigo, which we don't have today, but you guys, if you've tuned in before, Eric's talked about Vertigo in the past, and
excited about Vertigo 19 for sure.
Yeah,
There's some cool things coming for you.
Definitely. We just had to save that for another time.
Yeah, we'll let Eric do that one. Who's on Vertigo, Glenn? TBD. Well,
I love TBD.
that guy's cool.
He's a cool guy. He's super trustworthy.
So what are we? 40% new oak on this.
40% new.
What interesting thing about oublier is that we use a mixture of all the different size barrels that we have. So all the way we do use puncheons. We do use medium-sized barrels like 80 gallons. We also use the standard 60-gallon barrels. Cigars, everything we have. We just throw the bucket of oublier. We keep the new oak kind of a little bit moderated.
Sure.
But we use all those different sizes, and I think we developed some complexity because of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No doubt.
All right.
Yeah, I like this wine a lot.
Kyle loves organizing the cave in that aspect. Like
It
the
really
puncheons
is.
over
Right now.
here,
It's true.
mids over here.
I do actually.
smalls.
I want to make a statement about the cave. I'm really excited to show you guys that thing. I don't know if.
Show you my work.
Okay, so F you guys. But first, if you guys, I think you guys are gonna be really excited to see this. It is kind of a cool thing, especially for me. All of us really, but to kind of have a dialed-in cave and to really be proud of something to walk you guys through and come to kind of add to the experience of tasting at Booker. If you like it. It's on all of us. We all did a great job. If you don't like it, that's on me. So you should come talk to me. But yeah, I'm really excited about that cave. It's a really
It's baller.
really cool addition to what we have to offer here at Booker.
Hospitality section's not on us, so
Yeah.
I leave
Right.
it
but
to- I'm sure you're definitely.
we know that's gonna be good
Yeah.
always. So
That's no question.
I'm getting a little of that grapefruit on this as well. I think it's just young,
Yeah.
you know? I think it's going to develop more, get a little bit more textural, a little bit more darker fruited as it ages. But that's showing awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like Eric has kind of said in the past on his tastings, it's, you know, kind of our spin off on a Chateauneuf. So, you know, very aromatic, a little lighter entry level, you know, to some of our bigger wines, but super textural and creamy and soft and very supple. So.
Very, very
and these wines are actually already blended. So we here at Booker we like to blend kind of early. And I think, as a matter of fact, this year we've actually completed our blends as early as ever. And I think that can be attributed to the extra space that we've gained in the cave, kind of being able to help with logistics and all that. So really these wines are getting integrated at a really early age. And so it's going to be fun to kind of monitor these wines over time for sure.
Cool.
So,
Shall we move on to Fracture?
yep.
Sure.
I think Pete and Kyle are really learning Eric's taste buds really well. Because I think last year we did the blend and we all tasted through. We're like, oh, this is great. This might be it. Pete and Kyle were like, yeah, just let Eric taste, and he'll probably change 10 or 15 different things. But even last year we did really well. Right?
Yeah.
Just because of these guys.
For sure. We never want to be satisfied, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like he says, you know, how do we be better? How do we constantly make a better wine? How do we farm better? Etc. Yeah, it's just in every aspect of what we're doing here at Booker, we're trying to innovate, you know, make better wine. Even if we're in the hospitality side too, we're trying to, you know, please our consumers, please our customers, and you know, just be a favorite, I guess.
definitely. Sorry.
Well, that was cool. I was just going to say I've learned a lot from Eric, especially from that sort of approach to blending, and you know, his palate is very like focused. Like he's looking for certain things from each wine, and they're not super esoteric. He's not looking for cinnamon and cardamom in the oubliette. He's looking for, you know, specific. Yeah, exactly. He's looking for very specific things that you as the person at home drinking this wine, you're gonna totally understand what he's trying to do with these wines. You know, they're differentiated, they're unique, and each one of them is fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we give him a hard time. We always do. I mean, if he was here right now, we'd be saying the same stuff. But he definitely is always searching for a reason to be better, giving you guys the best quality product that we can do, always challenging us to never be satisfied with what we're doing. So I'm very proud to work for Booker for sure. And I know that we are always going to get better year after year. So it's super cool place to work.
Let's cheers the Fracture, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
To Booker,
It's a
to
bad
the future. My favorite neighbor.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. So now we take a different direction.
Yeah, way different.
Never I told about Uncle Joe having 9-inch chest hairs.
Yeah, tell us more about that, Kyle.
So yeah, my Uncle Joe.
We're getting like super meaty, you know, like almost like blood and like just dark fruits, spicy. What else you guys getting?
This is your big boy wine for sure. This is something you're gonna want to take to a party with people who enjoy wine, who understand wine, who really appreciate high quality wine that is just, I mean, from start to finish, just top notch.
But it's smooth.
It's very smooth.
It's not like it's grippy or tannic. It's definitely a structure, but it's pretty like sweet and smooth. Again, I know this is bone dry, but
There
you
is
know,
like
it's
this
got-
perceived
it's got
sweetness kind of at the front end.
I kind of get a little like a snickerdoodle on it or something like that.
You've always said snickerdoodle. I can't
Cam's
wait
a
to.
big
snickerdoodle
guy.
He's
I also-
like,
cookie
I also-
I'm still searching for that snickerdoodle.
When I was tasting by myself and tasting Harvey, I was like, you know those, not fruit roll-ups, but like the fruit snacks.
Gushers?
Like
Gushers?
those-
You know they make big gushers now?
Are they flat or are they round? Flat.
Flat,
Okay.
flat, like fruit snacks.
Right.
Like fruit leathers.
I got a lot of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Fruit
Fruit
leather.
leathers.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
That's
Good-
valid.
Good to know.
Good point.
Yeah,
fruit
it's
leather.
weird. It's a new.
I don't know what
It's
kind
a new
of
palate.
I'm excited. I'm excited to find that snickerdoodle,
Yeah.
like, wherever it's gonna be.
You just keep looking, bro.
It's there. It's in the kitchen
Anyway,
with chocolate.
With chocolate chips.
always
half
with chocolate chips.
sugar. With that half sugar.
That have sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have sugar.
My wife knows if she bakes anything, I'm always like, you know, be better with chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Well, this has the chocolate chips, that's for sure.
I mean, fracture's fracture. Like, if you've ever tasted fracture, you know exactly like where this wine is going and what to expect. It's delicious. Should we move to questions or?
Yeah. So
Yeah, you never raised your hand like you said.
we wanted you guys to pace it out. So before we go into rapid fire, we have the marvelous Miss Macy.
Oh, Mace. What's up, Mace?
Is tuning in live, and she wants. There's 4 guys and 4 wines, and if
3
you're all,
wines.
if each of you are a wine, what would you be and why? Starting with Cam.
Ooh, a Booker wine or any wine?
Anyone.
Anyone.
I'd be Ripper and silent but deadly.
Whoa, dude. Damn, dude.
How do I
Jeez,
follow
man.
that?
how- Sorry, Pete.
Yeah.
I hope you have a terrible answer.
I'd be a Côte Rôtie. I'm spicy and nuanced, a little bit hard to understand, but worth the effort.
Well, time out. Is this our wines or is it
Any
any
wine.
wines?
Any wine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any wine or Booker wine?
Anyone.
Wine.
Well, I mean,
Well, I'm
I'm
sticking
most
with
familiar with Booker wines. I don't know, man. I feel like I keep going back to Oubliette, but I feel like I'd be an Oubliette. I'm just kind of, I'm mellow, approachable.
That'd be pink.
No, I wouldn't be pink
Mosaic-
or white.
mosaic
I
is
do love
pretty.
that white though. But I feel like Oubliette kind of best describes me as well. Just approachable, just mellow, just. I don't know. I don't want to sound. How do you not sound
Kinda
conceited
big.
in this? Like, I mean,
Nobody
yeah.
thinks you're conceited.
Oubliette. That's my answer.
Taylor.
I'm gonna go Vertigo. I'm spicy.
So I'm the only non-Booker wine. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. We'll come back to you.
Okay,
You're the most
I'll
well
go
versed.
something cool climate. You know, I like to be next to the ocean and on the beach or something. So, I'll go West Oz, Western Australia, Woodlands. Yeah, Woodlands Cap probably. Then I'll switch it up. Go international.
Exactly what I thought you
Wow.
would say.
Yeah.
That's if I had to guess, that's what you would have picked. Said nobody ever.
Any other
What do you
great
got?
questions out there?
We have one more and then we'll dive into rapid fire.
Okay.
We have John Reeves who was asking some questions about concrete fermentation tanks.
Okay.
So how are concrete fermentation tanks built and or made? I cannot get the thought or smell of wet cement out of my head
Right.
when thinking about these wines.
Yeah, so concrete, if you ever like have seen concrete being poured, sometimes you've seen them, they add all kinds of crazy additives to make them dry faster or, just be more strong. Concrete wine tanks don't have any of those artificial ingredients. They're just straight cement and gravel, just pure concrete. The tanks we have come from Italy. So the brand is Nicovello. And,
Ciao.
yeah. So they have like espresso.
Angelato.
But yeah, I mean, like the only difference between the concrete in your flooring and the concrete in our wine tanks is that it's food grade, it's very pure, but that's it. There's no coating. All we do before we fill it is we treat the inside of the tank with a really strong acid solution. Actually, we use the same acid that's found in grapes, tartaric acid. We use a 30% tartaric acid solution, which will sizzle and burn if you touch it, so you gotta be careful. But it sizzles that basic layer of concrete from the cement off the part of the tank that's going to touch your wine. So we do that to ensure that it's not going to change the pH of our wine or the TA of our wine. And then other than that, it's just straight concrete.
Yeah. Really?
Concrete does have an influence, but it's not wet concrete like you would think.
No,
So,
you're not gonna be tasting
yeah.
quick-read. Like
No.
it's,
If anything, it highlights the minerality in the wines.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
It also accentuates the aromatics.
All right, guys, so we're going to dive into rapid fire. So everybody's been tuning in to our CAP Collab live on Friday evenings at 4 o'clock, where Eric is kind of infamous for playing rapid fire. So I'm going to ask each of you a question, and it's just first thing that comes to your mind, give me a sentence. So everybody can kind of get to know you. So we're going to kick it off with Kyle. Kyle, what's your favorite thing to do in your spare time?
My favorite thing to do in my spare time is probably mountain bike. I really enjoy getting on the bike, getting out in nature. I obviously like the downs more than the ups, but
Me too.
cross country mountain biking is probably my biggest pastime.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Pete, are you a morning person or a night person?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure.
Depends.
I'll answer that for you.
Like-
You're a night person, dude.
No.
You
Morning
early
yoga.
morning harvest. You walk in.
So yeah, I don't like to talk until 10 a.m. But I'll get up at 5:30 to do my morning sculpt yoga class, and I love that. But I don't have to talk for it.
All right.
So as long as I get to just be in my own zone and not be talked at, then I'm good. And I actually get my best work done in the morning. I like to, do all my thinking and my work, in the morning, and then leave the afternoon for this kind of thing, basically.
All right, Cam, what's your go-to cocktail?
Ooh, you're about to be judged so hard. Is Jensen still on? Is Jensen still on the live stream?
He's
Oh,
on.
you were so fun.
Don't forget the ice.
It has changed within the last year, but old fashioned for sure.
That's a
correct
answer.
That's
A good old fashioned. Done right.
No way. All right, Taylor, what bottle of wine are you opening tonight?
Oh, crud. I don't drink during these days.
I
During the
drink on
weekdays.
Tuesdays.
You don't drink.
You don't drink on Tuesdays?
Last time you drank on Tuesday.
Southern Rhone. Something from Chateauneuf, probably. I don't know.
Give us an example
Yeah,
of a
just
Southern
tell us.
Rhone.
Bob opened up
quiz.
a Beau Castel last week.
That's last week. What's tonight?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I gotta go. I store all my wine at Lauren's house, so I gotta go look what's over there.
Okay.
Ah.
All right. Interesting.
it's a lot of
I'm
trash.
trying to learn about more of the Southern Rhone, as you guys saw today. But
I mean, quiz.
yeah.
We get quizzed a lot, and the quiz changes subjects all the time. Like, Chateauneuf.
What else? What do you got?
Whole
All
run.
right, Cam, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, big fan.
Mock.
We would probably agree on
Yeah.
This is our favorite, but we're gonna have to say something different. Change Up, Ryan Reynolds and
Wow.
Oh, that's a change
That's
up.
out of left field, dude.
It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason Bateman is the other actor.
Right.
Interesting.
Pete, what band are you listening to on repeat right now?
I love Amos Lee, and he's not a band. He's just a sort of singer-songwriter, but he's one of my favorites, and I've been listening to him a lot. Him and Jack Johnson.
JJ. I like it.
For sure.
All right, Taylor, the best at-home activity you have done since sheltering in place?
I know
That's
mine.
not X-rated.
Yeah.
That's PG.
Card games. A lot of card games at our household.
Playing that speed.
Spades.
It's a good one. Spades is good.
BS. Cribbage. A lot of cribbage. So yeah,
I got some bands, some resistance bands that I've used like 3 times.
I'm trying to be
So-
not the best at working out. So I play
Okay.
real sports.
Sorry, man.
All right, last one goes to Kyle. Kyle, what is your favorite Booker Badger quote?
Oh, jeez. That is the most loaded
We could-
question. There's how long do you have?
You guys on to one. You're the closer.
Favorite.
Oh,
We could have a full another
Back up.
podcast.
I
on
want
this.
to. Yeah, let's get on. We can have a full pod about this. I'm willing to. I'm sure there's so many. Like I.
Salads today.
Yeah.
Gotta get your
Gotta
greens,
get your
boys.
greens. Salad today, motherfuckers is probably. That's probably the best one. That's so fun.
Right in the middle of harvest when all you want is a
You
big
just want
double
some
cheeseburger.
freaking
burrito.
protein, dude. You're like wasting away. I've lost 20 pounds.
Ocam got French fries, huh?
14 hours a day, and we're having to eat romaine with like no dressing. And yeah, probably salads today. That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, to bring it all back to the wine, we have one question from the audience, and then you guys can close this out here. So Todd H. on Facebook wants to know, specifically in regards to our fracture, how the 19 is comparing to some of our other vintages, and what our at-home viewers can expect when they finally get access to the 2019 wines.
I mean, honestly, like here at Booker, like consistency is the play. Like I think you can expect a lot out of 19 that you could expect out of 18, and you can expect out of 17, and you can expect out of 16. I think the fracture itself has maybe gone, maybe transformed a little bit from black fruit to slightly more red fruit. Not saying that it doesn't have the power or
Texture.
No, it does. It has all the same stuff that it's had always. I think it's more kind of leaning towards red fruit more than black fruit.
A little bit more freshness. I think that a lot of that can be attributed to the end of the drought,
Sure.
getting a little bit more yield on these vines. Also, our use of shade cloth and protection. We're getting to blend texture with freshness. So, I mean, I think some of my favorite fractures are the most recent ones.
For sure, absolutely.
Any other closing remarks, guys?
We didn't even talk about Benny.
Benoit!
So I don't know how much longer we
That'll
have,
be
but
nice.
like we had a French intern this year, Benoit, and he was the man.
They called him Bopey.
We called him his name. He came with the name Bopey. He showed up. He showed up on our first day of yoga with a Bopey jersey on, and we never let it down. But
Which is a apple juice in France to
yeah,
give some context.
so he kind of transformed from Benoit when we first met him to Benny to Bopey to Frenchie. Just kind of the standard tradition of all French interns. But yeah, Benoit was a great addition for us last year.
Entertaining for sure.
I loved, and Kyle got like some of the best videos of him, but he would be doing different like kind of nutrient ads or pitching inoculations, etc. And he would just sit like crisscross applesauce on the floor of the cellar,
Concrete.
just mixing in
For
yeast
half an hour.
and just like slowly listening to
Cross-legged.
who knows what.
Nephew.
So, yeah.
Nephew. We had to listen to some French rap here on a few days on the Sonos during harvest. But yeah, Benny was great. And he also, his rental car for the harvest was like an old like 1993 Lincoln. So it was great seeing him driving to work every day. Like that guy was the man. He was the first one here, never complained, and he had that
Straight
Lincoln.
stirring barrels every day.
Yeah.
If the
First
2019 white is going to be the
Oh.
most textural white you've ever had.
You guys need to buy the white.
Stirred
for sure.
well.
Mixed and
Because
stirred
It
for
is
sure.
so mixed.
French style.
But yeah, Benny was the man for sure. And I wish Brother Jensen was here. I wish he didn't kind of bail on us. But
I wish Brian was here, but he had other
Other
stuff going
engagements.
for sure,
on.
more important things.
Yeah.
More important.
I just want to say, like, what a great team that we have here, and especially in 2019, I feel like we gelled the best we ever have, even though it was the most challenging harvest. We didn't get into all our stories, loss of power, and press exploding, all that stuff, but it was a crazy harvest, and I just want to say, like, one kind of strong team is where each person has their own specialty, and the whole team works together, and that's really powerful. Another kind of strong team is where everyone knows how to do everything, and it's a really flexible team. But I think we have a perfect blend of the two. Where
Absolutely.
everybody has their specialty, but also everybody can do any job. And so if anything comes at us, we just hit it hard with like as many people as we can, solve that problem, and then we go back to our like specialties and just get the job done. So thank you guys for an awesome harvest. These wines are fantastic, and thank you guys for tuning in today.
Yeah.
We really had a great time. Any other closing
And
thoughts?
thank you to the front of the house, the
Yeah,
ladies
thanks for
that
putting
do
this all
all
together.
this.
Yeah.
I had this idea probably.
Oh wait, we had one more wine to taste, I thought.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a little more higher in alcohol.
Here.
It's a
You
lot.
guys want to rinse your glasses at all?
No,
I'm
I'll
gonna-
just set it in the glass.
No.
Fine.
What
But
vintage is
in
that?
all
This is
honesty,
I don't think it is a vintage at all. It's just a
oh, non-vintage.
non-vintage.
yeah. Where's Casamigos from?
I don't know. I think it might be South
Cinco de
Florida.
Mayo? This is a really different climate.
This is made from a little bit of different fruit.
We have some of these actually. Eric has some at his house.
I think they sold out though. They sold their company. Sauce.
But really, guys, like I'm super excited about this vintage. For me personally, this is the best vintage that I've tasted at this point out of tank. Once we put everything together.
But how do people get these wines?
Yeah, so you're gonna want to email or call Chelsea or Lauren at Booker Wines. Call the tasting room.
Yeah.
Just really get these wines are gonna go quickly, honestly. So you're gonna want to get on top of that. I know you need something to do right now. So there's nothing better than getting ahead of the game and getting this.
You need something to believe in.
Exactly.
In these wines.
Exactly.
Obviously, like all our wines are pushed to our club members first. You know, they're the people that support us the most. They're the people that are constantly, you know, buying and coming in and enjoying time with us personally. So they get first access to it. You know, join and be one of them. Because you know, if you that's the way you're gonna get our fracture. That's the way you're gonna get, you know, a lot like Ripper, etc. And also my favorite neighbor wines as well. You know, we got a lot of vineyard designates coming online.
Yeah, we just scratched the surface. We only talked about Booker,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more that we offer for sure. So
Yeah.
and excited for once everything kind of settles down for you guys to come visit us and really see the new facility. I'm super pumped about it. So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Adios.